Welcome to this week's edition of the Comic Hero Show. I'm your host, Victor Nunley, and I am the Comic Hero. Coming to you from Clint's Comics in Monroe, Louisiana. And folks, this is going to be one of two episodes of the show that I'm going to do this weekend. This is the first episode, episode 110. Tomorrow I'm doing an episode, and it's going to be in two parts. Part one is going to be over at Geeks Along the River here in Monroe, and part two is going to be over at BC Comics in Bossier City, Louisiana. And I'm very pumped about it, and I hope y'all didn't try to jump the gun and watch episode 111. If you did, shame on you. All right, let's get things started. Give away a free t-shirt. All right, now the question I asked for this week is, what borough of New York is Daredevil from? Now, the hints that I gave is that Alicia Keys is from the same borough, and the name of the borough is also the name of a TV show, of a cooking show hosted by Chef Gordon Ramsay. Well, the answer is Hell's Kitchen. And two people have answered correctly, and I'm about to draw their name for a free t-shirt. So the winner for the free t-shirt for this week is Michael England from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. So congratulations, Michael, you win yourself a free Comic Hero tee. All right, here's the question for next week's episode. Next week's episode. Now keep in mind, I said next week's episode, but not episode 111. It's going to be episode 112, because episode 111 I'm going to do it a little differently than how I usually do on my other episodes. You'll see. All right, but here's the question for episode 112. Who played the voice? All right, in the Fantastic Four movie, in the movie Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, Doug Jones played the physical role of the Silver Surfer. Who played the voice of the Silver Surfer? Now, here's a hint for this one. The person that played the voice of the Silver Surfer is an actor who's been around the block for over 30 years. He has been in certain movies like School Days, Akeelah and the Bee, and was on the cast, at one time was on the cast of CSI. Now, everyone who answers this question correctly will be entered for a free drawing. Well, yeah, the drawing's free too. You'll be entered in a drawing for a free Comic Hero tee for episode 112. So I gotta ask, any questions? All right, I have two questions from this week, and they're from the same person. They're both from Michael England from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, the person who just won the free Comic Hero tee. He asked, since you have 9,902 comics, well, it's actually 93,000 as of the end of last week's episode, so he obviously started watching. So he obviously didn't watch episode 109 before then. But he asked, how do you display them? Well, Michael, how I do that, I actually have bookshelves that I put them in. And now, the bookshelves that I use are normally for all the books that I currently collect. Otherwise, all of them are boxed up in a secure location far away from civilization as possible. Besides, I can't trust anybody. But to answer your question, now back before I left the nest, I used to have, I think, about 4 or 5 bookshelves full of comics. But then when I moved out, I boxed up only those that were either discontinued or are no longer read. So there's your answer. All right, and he also asked, and this question is not related to comics whatsoever. And now, when I first started doing the Any Question segment, folks, I said no questions. If it doesn't relate to comics, I'm not going to ask and answer it on my show. However, because this question is not tasteless, I will go ahead and ask and answer it. He asked, what's your favorite pasta? Michael, I have a law that I go by. And the name of the law is Nunley's Law. And what is Nunley's Law, you might ask? Whatever can be eaten, will be eaten. All right, that's it for Comically Speaking. And if you have any questions for the Comically Speaking segment for episode 112, contact info is down there. Now then, no one has requested a Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown fight. However, I have one of my own, and this one is very powerful. Representing DC, we have Bane, or should I say, Bane! And representing Marvel, we have Strong Guy. These two are going to duke it out in a segment I like to call
the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown. Welcome to the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown. Today, it's Bane versus Strong Guy. Bane is a brilliant military strategist, hired gun, highly skilled hand-to-hand combatant, and trained mercenary who possesses peak human physical conditioning, venom-enhanced strength and durability, and an accelerated healing factor. Strong Guy possesses superhuman strength, which he can increase by absorbing kinetic energy and use it to enhance his physical strength to an unmeasured limit. However, he cannot store the energy he absorbs for very long. As a rule, he must physically expend the energy within 90 seconds to prevent it from permanently distorting his body. He is in constant pain from the existing distortion, although he hides it well. He also possesses superhuman stamina and durability. Who would win? This is a battle of two guys that are both unstoppable forces and unmovable objects. Bane would wail on Strong Guy, but the latter absorbs the punches being thrown at him. He then punches Bane so hard that he's sent flying through 5 buildings. Strong Guy realizes the meat of his powers comes from the venom that's being pumped into his veins. Strong Guy rips off the venom tank from Bane, but in doing so, he gets venom all over him. He immediately has a bad reaction to it and dies. Bane wins. And that concludes this fight on the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown.
Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown, and if you have any fight requests for the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown, or for episode 112, or any episode beyond that, contact info is down here. Now it's time for Comically Speaking, so without further ado, let's talk comics! Alright, now the first thing I want to talk about is, in the Comically Speaking segment, is Captain America Civil War. It's out in theaters today. I'm actually going to go out and see it tonight. If you don't believe me, here's my ticket. Now, it did very well overseas, and I can only imagine that it's going to do very well out here in the States. And I saw multiple trailers of it, although with the trailers, the kind of trailers they make now, they might as well make. I just don't like the way they make comic book movie trailers now. It's to the point where it's almost pointless to go out in theaters and watch, and you might as well distribute them directly to DVD. But I believe it's going to be a great movie, and can't wait to see it. All right, next thing I want to talk about now, Tom Hiddleston, who played Loki in Thor, Avengers, and Thor: The Dark World, it says that he will never, that after Thor Ragnarok, he would no longer play Loki. Well, he has recently changed his tune, and he says that he is going to go out, and that he's actually going to play Loki for as long as he can. All right, next thing I want to talk about is the Star Trek TV series coming out next year on CBS. It's not going to feature the crew of the Enterprise. It's actually going to be, I found out recently that it's actually going to be featuring another crew at the same time of this current crew that's currently on the big screen. And it's set to premiere on CBS next year, 2017. So if you're mom and you're watching this, your prayers have been answered. By the way, this is also going to be the first Star Trek TV series that Star Trek Enterprise ended over a decade ago. All right, and the last thing I want to talk about, Free Comic Book Day. It is tomorrow, and or as I like to call it, the holiday. Now out here in Monroe, we're gonna have this first annual Geeks Along the River. I will be there. I'll be there in full force. I'll be doing an episode of the show out there. So right after you watch this episode, watch episode 111. And also, I'm also going to be doing an episode over at BC Comics in Bossier City. I was invited by the owner, Chris McDaniel, and I'm going to go. And the reason being is because he was very generous to me when I did for letting me do episodes over there at the end of last year and earlier this year. All right, that's it for Comically Speaking. Now then, let's get to the comics I bought this week.
Comic books I bought this week.
All right, first up is Batman Superman number 32. This is part 5 of the Last Days of Superman story arc. And in this story arc, it starts out with Superman finding out that he's dying after exposure to kryptonite that was found in the kryptonite room during the Savage Dawn story arc. Then also because after absorbing the fires of Apocalypse during the Darkseid War story arc. And then with his battle with Rayo during the Justice League of America book by Brian Hitch. And throughout this time, he is told Lois Lane and Lana Lang. Then he told Batman, or well, rather Batman kind of already figured it out because he noticed that his eyes were green. And he enlists Batman's help to find Supergirl. Well, he ended up finding her in National City, and she was actually in a lab, like pretty much testing out her powers with them. But Superman, for some reason, thought that they were doing experiments on her against her will. Supergirl told her no, they weren't. And she ends up getting a full key to the Fortress of Solitude. And then, meanwhile, there's this guy that's claiming to be both Superman and Clark Kent who's going around. He ends up killing people until Lois Lane knocks him out cold. And then Argus comes and apprehends him and brings him back to their lab. And then Wonder Woman finds out and says, wait a minute, when were you going to tell me that you were dying? And so they all find out about the whole thing over at Argus, and they find out about, the quote-unquote Superman over at Argus. And while they're there, Superman also gets a hold of Ulysses from the Superman story arc by Jeff Johns and John Romita Jr. And then all where breaks loose. I almost said it, but I caught myself. After all, this is a family show. Or is it? All right, next up is Invincible Iron Man number 9. This is a prelude to Civil War II. And be careful, Silas. I don't want you knocking over my camera. And what's going on in this book is it's a story arc called The War Machines, and it's mainly centered around Lieutenant Colonel James Rhodes, and he finds out about these other war machines being built overseas. So he goes and finds out about them. All right, next up is New Avengers number 11. I'm still a little behind on it, but what I can tell you is that these Avengers from the future end up coming to the present to prevent Wiccan. Well, okay, he doesn't go by Wiccan anymore, but he goes by something else. And there was this octopus-looking creature, this alien octopus-looking creature ends up planting a seed inside of him, and he starts becoming evil. Well, thanks to the Avengers from the future, they stopped him, and he's just plain old Wiccan again. All right, next up is Green Lantern number 52. Now, what's going on in this book is that Hal finds out that he has a brand new power set with the Gauntlet, where he becomes a living power construct, and he goes after Parallax from the original DC universe. After Parallax found out there was another him, he's like, "Oh no, there's only one me. There ain't gonna be nobody else." But Hal's like, "That's what you think." All right, next up is Amazing Spider-Man number 12. Now, what's going on in this book is Peter Parker has finally embraced the fact that he is CEO of Parker Industries, which is a hang-up from when Otto Octavius was inside his body. I mean, he's now, and he has headquarters all over the world, and a lot of folks don't like this book. My good friend Mitch Wyatt. By the way, Mitch, your shirt is coming. He doesn't like the book. He thinks it's a complete dumpster fire. But, ever since he started writing the book, I've always trusted the judgment of Dan Slott, who has been He has done such an amazing job on it, as well as other writers like Zeb Wells. All right, next up is The Flash, number 51. Now, pay attention to what I'm going to say, because you're not going to believe what I'm going to say about this book. The Flash is now a fugitive of Central City. The Rogues were deputized by the Flash's, or should I say Barry Allen's adopted father, Captain Daryl Fry. And but then they found out that there's someone who's actually been pulling the strings of this whole thing from the start. And who is it? The Riddler. That's right, folks. The Riddler has finally gotten out of Gotham City, and he now has raised all kinds of holy sand in Central City. And then finally, Uncanny X-Men number 7. Now this is the X-Men. If all the other X-Men books were all the like all the peacekeeping, the peacemaking books, then this one, if they're all right, okay, let me say that again. If all the other books were members of the X-Men who were fighting to protect the Dream, this book it has the team that eliminates the threats, and it starts off with them having to find out that there's some folks that are killing mutants who are healers, because they want, well, obviously because of the whole Terrigen Mist debacle. For all of y'all don't know, Black Bolt, the leader of the Inhumans, had decided he wanted to unleash Terrigen Mist all over the world. And not only did he that all those that were carrying the Inhuman gene become Inhumans, but mutants started dying and dropping like flies. And this team is, I mean, their team are trying to eliminate the threats of those that are out to kill by killing themselves. All right, that's 7 I bought, which brings the total number of comics I bought since December of 1997 to 7,307. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and I'm really, really, really pumped about Free Comic Book Day, especially Geeks Along the River, and then the Free Comic Book Day extravaganza over at BC Comics in Bossier City. And if y'all, of course, I'm going to be at both of them. And now this is going to be, I've never done an episode like this. I've never done an episode where I was at two different places in the one episode. And I hope everyone that's by the time you're watching this, it's already happened, because I'm not gonna have time to get all this piece together and upload it on YouTube before tomorrow morning. I mean, man's gotta get some sleep, you know. Man's gotta work, gotta get some sleep. You gotta do all that. But anyway, I just hope after you watch this, you go ahead and watch episode 111. I mean, it's going to be awesome. I want to thank everyone who. I just want to thank everyone for the positive feedback about the show in general. And you know it's only growing. I can tell you right now. And I didn't mention this in last week's episode, but I ended up making some teas for all the fine people over at the Bayou Dental Group here in Monroe. I am one of their patients, and I'm a firm believer of giving back, and they had done so much for me. So hopefully, as the year goes by, I'll have a. I mean, they're getting me on the right track of having a healthy smile, and not just me, but just about everyone that comes in there. And but ladies and Dr. Finley, I thank y'all so much. And I just thank y'all so much. And also, I forgot to bring the shirt with me that I'm going to wear tomorrow for episode 111. However, here's the shirt right now. This is the shirt that y'all voted for me to wear in episode 111, the Free Comic Book Day episode. Check it out. All right. Well, all right. That's the shirt that got the most votes. But if you voted for another shirt, don't feel left out. I will. All those other shirts that I wore that were up for vote, I will wear them in future episodes. What else? And and also, I'm happy to announce that my two good friends Alex and Amanda Heckela have just recently announced that they are expecting their second baby together. So congratulations, and I'm gonna get it, and I'm very happy about it because I'm gonna get another comic hero. Yeah, like, hey Silas, you're one of my little comic heroes, are you?
Okay.
We'll take that as a yes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. But anyway, I'm Victor Nunley. I'm the comic hero. We'll see you tomorrow for episode 111. The free comic book day episode at both Geeks Along the River and at BC Comics. So till then, be safe, be blessed, be a hero. All right, now, while I was about to be checked out, I ended up finding another issue, and that's Spider-Man Deadpool number 3. Now, what's going on in this book is that Spider-Man hates Deadpool, and that's common knowledge. But little does he know is that that Deadpool is actually out to kill Peter Parker, Spider-Man's alter ego, and But Spider-Man doesn't know this. Just like Deadpool doesn't know that Spider-Man is Peter Parker. And Joe Kelly and Ed McGuinness are doing such a great job with this book. But also, we find out that Spider-Man teams up. Oh, and also the Miles Morales Spider-Man was in the issue last in the number 2. But in this one, Spider-Man teams up not only with Deadpool, but also with the Mercs for Money. All right, so with that book, that brings the total number of comics I've bought since December of 1997 to 7,308. See you for episode 111. Bye.